Hello, my name is Brian Watts, and here's my recounting of all that we did for the group stock portfolio assignment. So, what was this group like compared to the rest of them? Dynamics didn't change much from group to group, with the main exception being every once in a while I've had groups where someone just can't really do anything. They got like a circumstance, or more often than not, they're just too overworked. Especially with engineers, it's a bit more common. They'd be like, I have 6 classes in a job and I didn't manage my time well enough. It's kind of your problem now, and they'll just do what we will with them. But they've sometimes people just decide too much is too much, and the group project has to be sacrificed. But that didn't happen this time. In terms of specific roles, um, the closest we had to specific roles was like the main ones that had to be assigned. So we had a leader, Callum, and we had observers, me, Emily, and Callum. But outside of that, when we're all contributing ideas, we're all contributing ideas. And when we were all planning, we were all planning, stuff like that. Um, with something of this scale, there was no real need to change it or like suddenly have like one person be responsible for doing this sole thing. If it was a bit more of an intricate assignment, maybe something like that would have happened, but that just wasn't the case this time. Um, yeah, interactions didn't really change much from observer to observer in the sense that there's never a day where someone's like, well, if Callum's the observer, I'm more than happy to contribute my ideas, but if Emily's the observer, I'm not. Nothing like that really happened. I feel like it would have been kind of weird if something did. I mean, observers are pretty neutral from person to person. There's no real reason to suddenly like hate on someone or switch up. So everyone just operated with that knowledge, and there was no real change from observer to observer because of that. And we all attended the meetings pretty on time. We all had agreed to 7 p.m. because that'd be the easiest for all of us to attend, and didn't really have any lateness. It was a pretty easy time for all of us to access. That all made things pretty simple. And power status and power distributed in the group. Like, yeah, Callum was group leader, but we based all our decisions off of group consensus, so it never really felt like one person domineered over the other. Just because once the idea comes up that we're all happy with and we all agree with, no one really feels unheard at that point. So it's just if the idea comes that we all agree with, and everyone was equally capable of producing the ideas that everyone agrees with. And interaction patterns had some change from meeting to meeting, but mostly from like the first meeting where we planned everything, because that was kind of our most awkward meeting. We were like kind of, you know, there's the first initial awkwardness that you typically have to get through, but the real awkwardness came from like determining what our plan would even be in the first place. We struggled to come up with that, and like once we figured out how the assignment truly functioned and how we should go about it, and had the like big overarching plan moving forward. Everything after that was just, do we need to make small adjustments to this plan and like kind of fine tune it? But there was no real big need to change that. So first meeting, a bit more awkward than the rest because we didn't really fully know what to do entirely yet. Once that happened, ideas flowed pretty smoothly once they were ready. All of that made us a pretty cohesive group. We didn't really struggle to like work together, develop efficient ideas once the time came. So that was all. Pretty simple, I guess, is how I'd put it. We followed a pretty simple agenda of just every 3 days, so one on the 13th, one on the 16th, and one on the 19th. And the agenda was just established, and at 7 p.m., so for our schedules. But it was every 3 days just to give the most possible amount of time to have any trends emerge. Stock changes are pretty slow, and you don't want to base things off of one shift. Usually it's better to see how it trends in one direction or the other. And 3 days isn't the most time, but you work with what you got, I guess. So all of that made our group pretty successful. I think we got a pretty good return, all things considered, or like the best possible in such a short amount of time with stock market returns on interest. It's very rare that you suddenly, like, for whatever reason, double. If we did, that would have been quite an insane victory, but I don't think that was all possible anyways. And while I'm pretty happy with everything, the only two things I would change is the first one being it would have been, I guess in retrospect, it would have been better if we were willing to suddenly like make a big shift in what our overall plan is. Like our investment stayed within the tech business. We never left the tech business once we decided that we liked it. And I guess if suddenly the food business grew huge, we would not have known and made a change. Probably just would have hoped tech outdoes it in the long run of 1 week. And the other change that I would have liked if we made is like, maybe we all could have, I guess, been more willing to like observe the changes in advance. So like we weren't really tracking the stock market outside of our meetings, or at least I wasn't. And it would have been better if I did that, just so that we could have more plans established in advance and have our meetings go a bit more efficiently. Instead, it was just in our meetings, kind of observing what looked best, and that definitely made things a bit slower than they needed to be. But outside of that, pretty successful group. I'm pretty happy with all of it, and yeah, it was good.